Welcome to Knockhill Racing Circuit for the Classic Sports and Saloons Championship. There are still 3 drivers within shout of grabbing the title, so I'll hand over to you now, Duncan, for race 1 to see what happens.
Welcome to Knockhill Racing Circuit here for the SMRC season finale, and the Scottish Classic Sports and Saloon Car Championship guys are on track just now. And yeah, once again, like everybody else for this final meeting, they have got a wet track around Knockhill Racing Circuit, and they're going to get 2 out laps just to give themselves a little bit of an insight what the race is going to be like, because believe it or not, a couple of classes actually got a dry qualifying time. So they've got a dry qualifying session, so they will get a couple of laps just to get themselves basically bedded in to the wet weather conditions. So you've got to try and do that in 2 laps. It's not always easy. People do sometimes make mistakes, and let's see just exactly how they get on for these 2 laps. Remember, they are behind the John Clark pace car though, so they should be pretty much under supervision almost from race direction. Tommy Gilmartin was the man who put it on pole position. That Morgan Plus 8, the 3.9 litre engine inside that E-Class car. Tommy Gilmartin pole position with a 56.9 second lap. He was only 9 thousandths of a second faster than Raymond Boyd, though Raymond Boyd was absolutely on the money. He done a 56.9 as well. So between Boydie and Gilmartin, the front of the grid is locked out by big horsepower, because that turbocharged Porsche, which is also in the same E-Class, 2.9 turbocharged car, that one, against the Morgan, big thumping Morgan 3.9, as I said, in that. Then we've got another V8. We've got John Kinmond in 3rd place, number 63 in his Rover 3.5. The SD1, basically, 3.5 litre, also in E-Class. So it's a lockout of the top 3 positions for those E-Class cars. John Kinmond doing a 59.1 second lap. So just a little bit off the back of Tommy Gilmartin and Raymond Boyd. Bruce Mitchell with his Lotus Europa. Now that Lotus Europa, just a little B-Class car, it's got a 1760 engine in it, punching way above its weight, but Bruce driving it so incredibly well. Not just this meeting, Bruce has been showing that type of form all through the year, so keep your eyes on him. In these wet conditions, I wonder if that car there going through shots can do a little bit of giant killing. Let's keep our eyes on the 57 Lotus Europa. And he out-qualified car number 27, the Alpha Sprint Trofeo of Mario Ferrari. Now there's a racing driver's name if you've ever heard one. Mario in the 1500cc A-Class Alpha. A 1 minute 2.1 for Mario, just ahead of car number 1, the man himself, Alistair Bapty, in his Fiat X19. A little 1400cc car as well. 1500cc, we should say it's at the top end of that 1400cc bracket. And Alistair Bapty does a 102.5 as Michael Longstaff gets caught out under the safety car laps at Clark Corner. Now that corner has been slippy for not just classics. There was all sorts of cars in trouble there in the sports and saloons. So the corner caught Michael out on one of his out laps there. So that's a tad embarrassing, but he will get going from there. William Conway was just behind Alistair Bapty in 7th place in the Mini Clubman GT. A-Class car as well, a 102.9 for him. And Stuart Thorburn in his Mark 1 Escort, which is absolutely stunning, was home in 8th place, and Stuart did a 103.3. That's a B-Class car for him, 1600cc, as the Marshals are in attendance. Dig deep, boys, you'll feel the leg burning just now. I'm pretty sure they'll move that little car out there, the MG Midget of Michael Longstaff. In 9th place, the first of the full Ford Fiesta XR2s, Martin Ramsey, and Martin Ramsey, the 1600 XR2, did a 104.2 second lap, and he's in the XR class. And rounding out the top 10 was Tim Reed, car number 55 in the Lola sports car, 1300cc car. He's in the guest class this weekend. Yeah, and you really don't want to be in that car because it's an open top car. He's going to get pretty cold, pretty wet, pretty miserable, but you're guaranteed, there he is there in shot just ahead of the O'Neill XR2. Tim Reed will be having a great time. Full complement of lights, we're about to go racing here at Knockhill. We hold them for quite a while, these old cars, and away they go down towards Duffus Dip for the first time of asking. Gilmartin against Boydie as they thunder down towards Duffus Dip, and it's Boydie, Raymond Boyd, who takes the lead quite convincingly as they go in towards Duffus Dip for the first time of asking, and through they go, Raymond Boyd in the baby blue number 49 Porsche, helped and prepared by Stuart White Racing SWR, along with John Kinman chasing him as they go up towards the chicane. That big rover, the big 3.5 litre rover. Where's Tommy Gilmartin? There he's there. Tommy Gilmartin looks like he's really struggling here. Being caught a little bit on the back foot, gone from pole position and gone down quite quickly actually to third place, and that's happened all in the first little bit. Look at Boydie and Kinman going through there. You got to wonder what tyres Tommy Gilmartin has decided to put on the car. Has he maybe chosen the wrong tyres for these conditions? Let's see if it comes back to him as the race unfolds and goes on. But through the hairpin, Raymond Boyd leads, and a little snake from the back end of that Porsche 911 Turbo as he goes up the main straight, and everybody else streams in the background. Michael Longstaff as that makes his way in. There was William Conway actually. William Conway doing a little bit of a strange line through the hairpin in his Mini. Michael Longstaff just going through behind Tim Reed in the background just now. But that Mini, we did mention there could be a bit of giant killing from Bruce Mitchell. You're going to have to keep your eyes on William Conway, car number 20 in the Mini Clubman GT. He will be quick, guaranteed with that as we go in towards McIntyre's. We see Alistair Bapty with Mario Ferrari now behind him. These cars battling for A-class honours, and Bapty leads the way in the A-class as they go up and over the crest of the chicane. Gilmartin just ahead of them, and Gilmartin being caught by these two smaller cars quite easily and quite quickly. So up the back straight they go towards Clark Corner. Tommy Gilmartin obviously struggling in these conditions, and that's not something that we're used to seeing. We used to see him doing so much more damage, you could say, and disappearing in these conditions. But look at the gap behind John Kinman just now. There's Tommy Gilmartin coming into the hairpin, and the A-class cars battle it out with Mario Ferrari trying to go around the outside of Alistair Bapty. Well, trying. Nice little slide on the way into the corner for Mario Ferrari there, but Alistair Bapty will hold that one all day long. The current champion, Bapty, comes up the main straight in that little Fiat X19, and Tommy Gilmartin, well, this will feel like a horrible long race for Tommy Gilmartin. We've got to say that as they come over the crest of the hill in towards Duffy's Dip. The two A-class cars still very much firmly battling it out on track just now as they go over the crest of Duffy's. Thorburn, Conway and Bruce Mitchell a little bit out of place now. Bruce Mitchell further back down. That's Martin Ramsey in his XR2 just going over the apex of Duffy's Dip as well. Rest of the guys all coming through. Duncan Fox and William Conway. And we just didn't pick up Tim Reed and Michael Longstaff there, but the two race leaders are through Clark's heading towards the hairpin. That is the Porsche 911 of Raymond Boyd, car number 49, and 63, the Rover 3.5 litre SD1 of John Kinman. As those guys thunder towards the hairpin, Gilmartin is now being caught quite quickly to the twisty part by Bapty and Ferrari. And you've got to wonder just what exactly has gone wrong with Tommy Gilmartin. He knew it was going to be wet. Surely he's not pumped for the wrong type of tyre, or maybe it's a pressure thing. These cars, Morgan's quite a sensitive little balanced car as Tim Reed comes through shot and has a bit of a wobble. Michael Longstaff, that's your corner. Takes a lot more reserve this time. Well, actually, it doesn't. He comes through there properly on the pipe, on the gas, and heads towards the hairpin. Thorburn, Conway and Mitchell go past our start line static camera as we look back and see the first of the XRs, and that's Martin Ramsey as he goes over the crest of the hill. And Martin Ramsey really has been the dominant man this year, and he's doubling up this weekend because he's also racing the newer style Fiesta in the sports and saloon cars. He's racing an ST, in fact he's not in the sports and saloons, he's in the Fiesta ST Hot Hash Championship. So we'll get that one right yet. As into the hairpin comes Raymond Boyd, car number 49, the fire-breathing monster that it has become. And look at Tommy Gilmartin as he comes through Clark Corner there. That car in all sorts of shapes and sizes, as is Stuart Thorburn. But we're not used to seeing the Morgan doing that. The Morgan normally has pretty good traction. So Tommy Gilmartin, he's just going to have to ride this one out as much as he can as he comes in towards the hairpin. Before he knows it though, the Bapty man is going to be all over him like a rash. And Alistair Bapty doesn't need much in the way of invitations. He will have a go at Tommy Gilmartin. That is for sure. As they flash past once again the static camera on the start line here at Knockhill. I've got Stuart Thorburn there in the Border Reavers. Mark Bonesco and William Conway goes past as well. There's Bruce Mitchell a little bit further down in the Lotus Europa TC. The B-class car, first of the B-class cars on the road as he goes over the crest of the hill. There are a couple of B-class cars in the race today, which is quite good to see. We've also got Stuart Thorburn out there. We normally have Jimmy Crowe as well, but Jimmy Crowe has gone AWOL. Not sure where he has been for the last couple. But over the line goes Tim Reed as well, as we pick back up with John Kinman coming in towards the hairpin just now. This car started off the year with a good few small issues, such in the way of brakes and trying to make it reliable And John really has got to the bottom of that, and that car's great to watch on track now as Fox and O'Neill go through butchers in their XR battling over the chicane. And I never thought I'd see the day when the XR2s, the Mark II XR2s, made it to the classic grid. I started my racing career many, many years ago in the XR2s when it was the Waverley Press era, and even it was something else before that, but I can't really quite remember what it was. But the XR2s have found a home in the classics, and they're doing very, very well as we see the guys flashing across the line here, and conditions don't look like they're getting any worse, but they don't look like they're getting any better either as Boydie comes through Clark Corner. And Raymond Boyd's now put a nice bit of a buffer between himself and John Kimmon. That looks like a nice gap. That's comfortable if you're a driver. You won't have to adjust your mirrors or look in your mirrors and drive defensively at all. He's got a nice enough gap behind him, and as has John Kinmond, not to have to worry about Tommy Gilmartin behind him, and that's not something that he will be used to. Having said that, these are the difficult races. This is where the likes of John Kimmon really got to focus. Raymond's in the lead, so he's got a bit of a focus there, being the lead man. He's the focal point. But Kinmond, it's so easy for him just to make a silly little mistake, and that's where it can really bite you in these conditions. So he's got to use all that experience he's got to try and focus, as we see Tommy Gilmartin struggling through the hairpin, scrabbling for all sorts of grip there up the main straight. It looked like Barty was actually pulling him to pass him from a static camera. Gilmartin's headed for the pit lane. We're hearing Gilmartin goes into the pit lane. Barty and Ferrari flash past, as does Thorburn, and into the pit lane comes Tommy Gilmartin. So yes, he has had some sort of problem. He has been struggling, and Tommy Gilmartin retires the Morgan Plus 8 from a good third position there, but he was starting to really struggle. His best lap was a 1:07.1, and when you compare that to Raymond Boyd and Kinmon, Boydie was a 1:03 flat. So there is no need for Tommy Gilmartin to be that slow. Obviously there is a bit of a problem as we look towards the hairpin now. The marshals are in attendance, and that looks very mini shaped and quite small, so that will be William Conway getting a helping hand from the marshals there. They've pushed him back through that deep pan gravel trap, and let's hope the little mini can get going from there. As the XR2 battle comes in towards Duffy's Dip with O'Neill passing Fox round outside. Can he hold this one together? Yes, he can, and he makes that look pretty good as well. Down through McIntyre's and Raymond Boyd now well and truly in the mix with these back markers, picking his points, picking his spots, not wanting to rush it and make a silly error, as Martin Ramsey, the first of the three XR2s, makes his way through Clark Corner. And still the battle with Ferrari and Barty rages on, and that's for an actual podium spot now, so that has a little bit more importance in it now, doesn't it? Because Ferrari wants to get on the podium, that's for sure. Barty's been there, but Ferrari wants to get on the overall podium, and let's see how that one unfolds. Alistair Barty in Class A leads the way just now from that Mario Ferrari car, with Bruce Mitchell still leading Class B from Stuart Thorburn. Class E battle between these two guys at the front, the one and only Raymond Boyd in his Porsche, and John Kinmond, who we're looking at just now coming through the hairpin as ever, with a nice dab of opposite lock through the apex of the corner and up the main straight. A couple of XR2s again about to come under the cosh of John Kinmond. John's fastest lap so far, a 1:04.1. He done that very early on in the race as well. John done that in the actual third lap of the race, so he hasn't gone faster, but his lap times have been ultra consistent, which is pretty good. As through the chicane comes Raymond Boyd, and up the back straight there goes a nice smooth exit from the chicane from John Kinmond, and we'll listen to those two XR2s going past. So let's see how this gets unfolded. It's hard not to giggle when John Kinmond comes through, and you almost see the back quarter of the car first before the head of the car. And you've got to remember, this is for a championship as well, the overall championship. They have their classes, but the overall championship really is between Raymond Boyd and Alistair Barty. They both have to finish and win their classes here. So right now it's looking pretty good for Raymond Boyd. It's also looking pretty good for Alistair Barty in that little X19B. The cars couldn't be further apart if they tried, though, when you think about it. The massive horsepower of the Porsche and the tiny little X19B, but it's all about race wins and class wins. And Boydie right now is doing exactly what he needs to do, but so is the Barty man as they come through McIntyre's. There goes John Kinmond, and down towards Butchers he goes. The man that was staying well out of Raymond Boyd's way was Martin Ramsey. Martin Ramsey gaining more experience every time he drives, and especially with driving 2 cars this weekend. He will be absolutely loving that one, and the more track time the better in Martin Ramsey's eyes. As over the crest of Clark's they come, heading towards the hairpin. There goes Kinman, really settled for a good second place, and I have to say I think John fairly settled for second place maybe on the 3rd or 4th lap of the race. Once they saw they dropped Tommy Gilmartin very early on, he made it look pretty easy from then on. Raymond Boyd has had the out-and-out pace of everybody in race number 1. He needs to bring that to race number 2 though. That is an absolute must. And Alistair Bapty, who we see coming into the hairpin in just a minute, camera comes away from that, so must Alistair Bapty. Then it'll go back to a count back, and that is what championships, that's what you really don't want to have to do in a championship. That's when it becomes a nail biter. Through the Duffus Dip Complex they go, and there's Alistair Bapty still still ahead of Mario Ferrari, and that is so crucial for Alistair Bapty. He must stay ahead of the orange Alfa Romeo of Alistair Bapty, the Alfa Sprint Trofeo, as the cars are making their way around the back of the circuit now. Raymond Boyd comes through Clark's and heads towards the hairpin, grabs a few gears. He'll be just relaxing himself in the car, flexing the fingers on the steering wheel, but that right foot will be absolutely planted towards the floor as Stuart Thorburn comes through Duffus Dip in the Mark 1 with a little bit of a, you could call it a slide there, or was it a tank slapper for Stuart? Either way, an experienced man. Very good single-seater driver in his early and mid-career, and Stuart's taking a back step now to really focus on Jamie, his son, and Stuart does the odd race now and again. Jamie Thorburn, a very fast single-seater racer, balances it very well with study, and let's hope Jamie can go a little bit further up that racing ladder as through Duffus Dip comes John Kinman in the Rover. And that was a pretty special bit of camera work there, or driving I should say, caught by the cameraman, as Boydie already on his way up the back straight towards Clark's. We're waiting. Where is Bapty and Ferrari? Up the main straight, still Mario Ferrari in the slipstream of Alistair Bapty. They're going on to the last lap. It's going to have to be now or never for Mario Ferrari if he wants to have that overall podium. But this man here, car number 49, Raymond Boyd, he's having a lock-up on the way to the hairpin on the very last lap. Good grief, you're giving the commentator heart failure, Raymond Boyd. What are you doing? As he comes through the corner and heads up towards the checker flag. A momentary lapse in concentration almost cost Raymond Boyd it there. He takes a checker flag, and the victory as John Kinman comes through the hairpin, pointing back up towards the checker flag with an enormous slide. He'll be quite happy taking second place and second in E-Class. With Alistair Bapty, Alistair will hold on to that 3rd place and come through and take the championship down to the very last race.
How's your season been?
It was okay until the triple header, and then I had an engine failure, so I lost 50 points. If everything went to plan, we would have actually had it cleaned up by then, but just it's racing, so as everyone knows. And then today, it's good for the championship that no one's running away with it, so hopefully more people will come in next year thinking that anyone can win. You know, you don't need the biggest, fastest car to win, so the old saying, you don't need a sledgehammer to crack a walnut, is very true in the classics. So I've used the same tyres pretty much all year, apart from today in the wet. So it's not an expensive one like, say, the Minis or some of the one makes where you always got to be spending. So it's good.
There's not as much damage in this championship as others as well.
Oh, we've not finished yet, so we'll better wait and see. So yeah, it's fingers crossed. There can be some idiots, there's some red misters out there, but that's the same with every form of racing, so you just suck it up and hope for the best.
I hope you have fun today and bring it home.
Well, thank you, Fiona, yeah, so do I.
So here with Raymond, well done. Was that an easy win for you, or were you kept on your toes?
I got a really good start. And then the car was a bit grippy, even though I'm on dry tyres. So that was a wee bit interesting. And then before I knew what happened, I'd opened up quite a big lead, and that was good. New engine this year and just got it all working, so we just try to keep the pace, momentum going, and then came out the hairpin, selected 3rd, and third gear starting to rattle. So for the rest of the race, I only had 2nd, 4th and 5th, because I didn't want to put any more pressure on it, because I've got another race to come, and it's imperative that I do well in that race, so we'll see what's what. But just want to thank SWR for all the setup and on the car, which has been awesome again. Anthony and Big Alan is my mechanics, Ronnie for supplying some good tyres, and let's hope it stays dry for next race. We'll see what's what.
Are you going to keep your dry tyres on or switch to wet?
No. If I think it's the pour in the afternoon, and that actually might help me because I've usually got a bit more traction than most other cars. So with this third gear problem, if the same happens again, then that'll be a good result for me. And then we'll just have to see what happens. There's a point between me and Alistair, so you know, God will hate to play his part, and that's as simple as that.
So it's all to play for.
Absolutely, all to play for. Still good in the classics.
Race number 2 for the Classics Sports and Saloon Car Championship. Look at this, a Classic Sports and Saloon Car. What a shame for these drivers, these conditions. What a shame for the marshals, what a shame for the cameramen and the spectators. Drivers are in heated cars, aren't they? Well, some of them are. But it's the final race, it's race number 9 for these guys on the calendar today. And the weather has deteriorated somewhat. Boydie from Kinman, Bapty and Ferrari, that was the battle with Bruce Mitchell well and truly in there as well. Bruce Mitchell has got a little bit more work to do in this one. He's alongside Stuart Thorburn, Martin Ramsey and Duncan O'Neill. But we're already getting lights on the bridge here. It's between Raymond Boyd, it's between Alistair Bapty, those two guys gunning for the championship. They must win their respective classes, but there's a John Kinmond and a Mario Ferrari well and truly in the mix as everybody heads down towards Duffus Dip in these conditions, and Boydie takes the lead as they come in towards Duffus Dip for the first time of asking, and Boydie makes a mistake and Kinmond also goes off as well. Boydie's down the grass, can he hold it? Yes he does, and he doesn't spear back on, and Bapty slides up the inside of Raymond Boyd on lap 1 going through McIntyre's. He's also ahead of Mario Ferrari, which is where he needs to be, and Tommy Gilmartin is back out in this one, and we found out he had the wrong tyres on in race number 1. So as the guys make their way through the chicane, that has put a cat amongst the pigeons. Raymond Boyd's championship almost went south with that first corner melee there. He managed to keep it pointing the right direction, go down the grass as well. Good bit of skill from Wolfie, as he's called by Alistair Bapty there. And Bapty is now ahead of him, and Raymond Boyd knows that he must beat John Kinmond to keep his championship open. In towards the hairpin, Boydie's trying to go down the outside of Alistair Bapty as John Kinmond comes through and squirts it over up the hill, but Bapty doesn't let Boydie pass. He will have absolutely nothing for Boydie on the straight though, and Raymond Boyd accelerates up the main straight and takes that second place, and now he has to gun down and catch that man there, John Kinmond, in the big Rover, and Raymond Boyd has his work well and truly cut out now. Alistair Bapty in the driver's seat because he is ahead of Mario Ferrari, and Mario Ferrari under big pressure from Bruce Mitchell in the Lotus Europa. So it's all kicked off at the start of the Classic Sports and Saloon Car Championship race number 2, and the weather has kind of made that happen as well. But what happened at turn 1? Was a contact with Boydie and Kinmond, or was it just two young drivers trying too hard at the first corner? Well, we'll visit that one if we can later on. But what we do have right now is a championship swinging towards Alistair Bapty, and I have to say, after race number 1, I don't think many people saw that as through Clark Corner. That's Mario Ferrari. Oh, big moment for Mario Ferrari coming through there. Stuart Thorburn and Tommy Gilmartin looked like they're having to take evasive action, so did our static camera actually have a little miss of the Ferrari car going off. 1, 2 and 3 leave the hairpin, go up the main straight. The next car should be Mario Ferrari, and he's gone. Mario Ferrari is not there. Bruce Mitchell is there though. So Mario Ferrari has either dropped a position or 2 or 3 or 4, and that is a disaster for him, as coming in towards a very wet McIntyre's turn 3 here at Knockout Racing Circuit. The triplex backed in the day Rover 3.5 litre V8 Class E leading car just now through the chicane. Kinmond's driving this car pretty well in these conditions. It does normally favour Raymond Boyd, but as that man comes through Alistair Bapty, he is in the championship seat right now. He has Bruce Mitchell behind him, yes. He's on the podium, yes. He doesn't need to fight Bruce Mitchell. He just needs to beat and be in front of Mario Ferrari or Michael Longstaff. He cannot let those guys get behind him. And right now, Mario Ferrari, we are struggling to find him on track after that moment he had at Clark Corner. 1, 2 comes through the hairpin, that's Kinmond and Boydie. The next car through should be Bapty, chased hard by Bruce Mitchell. Oh, Bruce Mitchell's keeping Alistair Bapty very much honest as they go up and over the crest of the hill here just now, and in towards an extremely wet Knockhill Duffus Dip. There goes Michael Longstaff, there goes Martin Ramsey. We wait for the next car to come through. And we switch back towards a very wet Butchers. Oh, Kinmond almost dropped that at the dip at Butchers. Just where the car compresses there. Big slide from the back of that Rover, and he managed to hold that. We've seen many a car, many a driver disappear stage left or stage right there into a gravel trap or a tyre wall, but Kinmond managing just to hold onto that and no more as he leaves Clark Corner. Is Raymond Boyd catching him? Is Boydie catching him? Well, the gap's still very big there. That gives you a great view of what the gap is. The camera, which is on the spectator banking at the hairpin here. Raymond Boyd in that second place. Bapty has relinquished that third place to Bruce Mitchell. The young go-getter, that is Bruce Mitchell in car number 57. In the B-class, Lotus Europa has got past Alistair Bapty. And I have to say, for once, I think Alistair Bapty is actually thinking pretty much championship rather than race win, podium, or, well, he needs a class win. But Bapty with the championship head on right now as they come through McIntyre's and head towards Butchers, the XR2 just ahead of John Kinmond. John Kinmond plays it pretty cool. Can't play it too cool though. Duncan O'Neill in the way for him just now, and Raymond Boyd certainly has got quite a lot going through that twisty area just now. The fastest lap for John Kinmond thus far is a 104.8, and Raymond Boyd has done a 103.8. So wow, a second a lap faster for their fastest lap for Raymond Boyd. As they come towards the hairpin, the gap doesn't look like it's getting any smaller. It's not diminishing at all, is it? They splash through that entry water on the track and make their way up the main straight as they go up over the crest of the hill here and carry on now. We're hearing reports that Mario Ferrari's actually pulled into the pit lane, so Ferrari has retired the Alpha Sprint Trofeo, and that is a disaster for him, but that really does help Alistair Bapty. But Bapty still has Michael Longstaff out there, and he is currently circulating in 6th place just now. No signs of Tommy Gilmartin. We expected Tommy to come a little bit further through the field, but Tommy hasn't had that, he hasn't let that happen, unfortunately, as through the chicane goes a nice controlled John Kinmond ahead of Raymond Boyd. Raymond will be trying for all he's worth here, and he will just see that he's not catching Kinmond enough, and that championship will be slipping away and sliding towards that man there who just flew through our shot. That's Alistair Bapty in the Fiat X19. That little car, it doesn't have the greatest of power, it doesn't do that much well, apart from handle, Alistair tells us, and it handles not kill extremely well. But he's coming back with a completely different car for next year as well, so we need to keep our eyes well and truly open for what Bapty brings to the play. Not a man that ever goes that hard in qualifying, always takes his time in qualifying just to make sure he gets around, gets a few laps in, and he really does his talking in the race as big John Kinmond's car goes past Michael Longstaff there. William Conway looks like he's going to be the next car about to go a lap down the little Mini, which you saw playing in the gravel trap at the hairpin. No real damage to that, thankfully. If he did reach that recticel, I can tell you from previous experience this year, the recticel's actually very soft at the hairpin and it's quite spongy and fluffy, so here we go. It doesn't do much damage to the car, especially that William Conway Mini doesn't appear to be sporting any damage on that front left corner. Through Clark's comes the Rover, then the Porsche. Raymond Boyd's put together quite a few good laps here, and Boydie is very much on the charge. As we look at it now, he's now down to a 103.5, his best lap of the race. John Kinmond, a 104.3, not able to match the pace of Raymond Boyd, but he doesn't need to. He needs to lead the race from the front. Catching's one thing, passing is definitely another, especially in these conditions. And we saw Raymond at the very end of the last race having a big moment going in towards the hairpin, and that almost cost him the championship right there and right then. And Raymond will be very much aware of that as they go over the top of Duffus Dip and now through Leslie's in towards turn 3. Here McIntyre's William Conway stays out of the way, and that's good. And John Kinmond will have a sigh of relief there, because that blue Porsche, if he can see it in his mirrors, is starting to catch as Conway almost goes off the road in front of Raymond Boyd there. Was he either trying to stay out of the way, or did he just understeer towards that left-hand side white line with some of the water that's lying down there? Through goes Longstaff and Mitchell, and Stuart Thorburn now goes through the hairpin and up the main straight in the Borders Reavers Escort. Take stock for a minute as Alistair Bapty goes through, and Bapty must be absolutely loving this now. If he has got a pit board, if he's getting any sort of encouragement or help from the pit lane, he will know that Ferrari has retired. He will know that John Kinmond is still in the lead, and he'll know that Raymond Boyd is trying to catch him, but it really does swing in the balance of favour towards Alistair Bapty just now, as Boydie, Wolfie as Alistair Bapty calls him. I don't know why, he just does, as they go through Duffy's Dip. Thorburn now on the exit of the chicane. He should be the next car to go a lap down under the cosh from these guys here, as we see them going down through, and you can see the amount of water that's actually sitting on the camera lens as well. It's been a pretty wet, miserable day for everybody, and there's still spectators on that banking down at Butchers there, so there are several big shelters around Knockhill Racing Circuit. One at Duffy's Dip, McIntyre's, Clark's, and obviously the hairpin, which there's been one for a long time. Some spectators still like to brave the elements and stand in their favourite place, or sit in the cars and listen to Knockhill FM, but enough of that. Look at this. At the hairpin, Raymond Boyd has worked really hard, and he's now right on the back bumper of John Kinmond. He's going to have a go up the main straight here, and this is where the championship lies for Raymond Boyd. How much do you want it, Raymond? Because you're going to have to just go that little bit further. Kinmond holds the lead as they come in towards Duffy's Dip. Boydie trying to put John Kinmond under all sorts of pressure. The lights will be on full beam. He will be there diving in and out of the mirrors of John Kinmond, just to try and put John off his concentration as Thorburn comes through the chicane over the back of the circuit. The next two cars, here we go. It is John Kinmond and Boyd, and I tell you what, John Kinmond's done a good first 3 or 4 corners here. He's put a little bit of time into Raymond Boyd, and he's managing to now pull away as they come up towards Clark Corner. Through Clark Corner, there goes the big SD1 Rover, there goes Raymond Boyd, and it's kind of now or never for Raymond Boyd. He's got a lap and a half, I think, to do this, and if he doesn't do it, it's going to be curtains in towards the hairpin. What can he do? Thorburn has been and gone. John Kinmond sits the car in the middle of the track as they make their way from the hairpin up towards Duffy's Dip. John Kinmond will see Stuart Thorburn ahead as they go up and over the crest of the hill now, down towards Duffy's Dip. Hold your breath moment here, ladies and gentlemen. This is for the championship. Meanwhile, Alistair Bapty still circulates in 4th place, but more importantly, leads the A-Class Chap race and championship. Alistair Bapty right now is looking for an overall championship here, as Raymond Boyd makes a mistake at McIntyre's. Looked at the car, was understeering on through the heart of the corner, and that took Raymond a little bit wide of the apex, which means he would be late getting on the gas and slow on the drive down towards Butchers and that Arnold Clark chicane. As they come up towards Clark Corner now, through they come in the way. Stuart Thorburn in the escort. John Kinmond should power past on the straight towards the hairpin. He will do that. He stays well out the way, does Stuart Thorburn. That's a very experienced man. And here comes a Porsche 911 turbocharged car of number 49, Raymond Boyd. He is going to have one last good proper stab at the 2018 championship as they make their way up the main street. In the pit lane, you can see the flag marshal walking down to the checker flag post, and the last lap board is hung out from the start marshal as they go underneath the Beatson's building supply bridge. What has Boydie got in the tank for John Kinmond? Right now, though, that's a big enough gap to go in the favour of John Kinmond, and we're going to have to say Raymond Boyd needs something very special from that Porsche as they come through McIntyre's. The big Rover looks so good through this area of the track, and you wouldn't expect that from that very large car as he goes over the left, right of the chicane and up the back straight. This is where Raymond Boyd seems to be better, from the chicane towards the hairpin, but he's going to have to be a lot better as they come in towards Clark Corner now, through the top of Clark's. Again, that is a big enough gap for John Kinmond to not to really have to worry about Raymond Boyd, and Raymond will be trying absolutely everything, because this is the 2018 Scottish Classic Sports and Saloon Car Championship going the way of Alistair Bapty as Kinmond comes through the hairpin. He's a lot more reserved than he was at the end of race number 1. He accelerates up towards the checker flag. It's a very good win for John Kinmond. He'll be happy with that one. Raymond Boyd comes home in 2nd place. Bruce Mitchell will take 3rd place, but your 2018 champion will be the defending, current and reigning champion, Alistair Bapty. Car number 1 in the X19B will come through, and he will be the champion. He's won Class A, he's done everything he's needed to do, and unfortunately for Raymond Boyd today, John Kinmond has just pipped him towards what would have been his championship. Raymond needed to win this race as they come through the back of the circuit just now. Alistair Bapty will be absolutely delighted with that one. So let's hand down to Fiona for a few post-race interviews to find out just exactly how the drivers are.
So we're here with our 2018 champion, Alistair Bapty. Congratulations. What were the conditions like out there?
Wet.
And how does the car handling?
The car was the best it's ever been actually in the wet today. We've not really had to, I've never driven it before in the wet until the last meeting, so there was one race last year right enough, but not a lot of practice with it in the wet, so yeah, we finally, I think today we got it right, so it was good. Didn't expect it to be as good in the wet, so if anyone out there's got any brains, they would buy it and then they could do quite well next year with it.
So the car is for sale then?
It is for sale, yes.
And this is an unusual little trophy you've got here?
Yeah, it was buy one get one free, so I was just about to hand it back into the office just now, and then...
Baby included?
No when we want them, yeah.
Well, congratulations again, and we'll see you at the awards dinner.
I look forward to it. Fiona, have my dress as well as you. Thank you.
So that's the 2018 season of the Classic Sports and Saloons drawn to a close here at Knockhill Racing Circuit. Join us again in 2019 for more action-packed racing.